know how Simon Sinek, he talks about know your why and figuring it out, how important that is, so that whatever you decide to do in life, it'll have the conviction will be strong enough to keep you at it, even if there's ups and downs, whatever, right? And so I just wanted to come on here to talk about that, my why, in case this helps somebody else. So I was watching, this might have been within the last 6 months or so. I don't know if y'all know who Dr. Myron Monroe is. I think he a pastor too, but he's a leader. He was in leadership, public speaker. I think he was like the prime minister of somewhere, but he was like excellent, super, super wise. I think he passed away already, but I was watching a sermon of his on TV, and the sermon was about discovering your personal leadership, but it was some biblical references he was talking about, and he was talking about belief systems and sharing his wisdom with the with YouTube and with the audience that he had on this specific particular content I was watching. Long story short, what he mentioned was, he said, do you know, I'm paraphrasing it, but it was something like, he said something like, do you know, literally, if you die before you live up to your fullest potential and ground the things that God put on your heart to do, the things, the aspirations, the passions that you have, if you die before those things grounded into this 3D reality, essentially, he said, that means you were killed. And I'm like, what do he mean by that? And I had to sit with that for a while. He literally was like, if you die before you do mostly all the things that God put in your heart that you were passionate about, or that you were pretty much destined to do, or, if you die before you can ground that stuff and bring it into fruition, into this 3D reality, essentially you were killed in a way. And so I had to sit with that. And now I see what he mean by that, because essentially I feel like that's kind of what triggered me to really understand my why. So in my heart, of course, my parents and my brother, they passed away from medically diagnosed. It was some health chronic conditions that they had that they were dealing with that kind of claimed their life, right? Their health started to fail. But when I was reflecting on what Dr. Myron Monroe was talking about, to me, what that means is this. So like, if you go through your life, all your life, and you are psychologically oppressed, like majorly psychologically oppressed, you don't know who you are in Christ, you don't know your power, you don't know who you truly are without your egoic personality and identity, and all the perceptions and perspectives that you have that you stick to are all the egoic man-made ideas that typically can throw you into depression and throw you into anxiety and make you feel worthless, make you feel not good enough, man-made ideas and beliefs and measuring sticks that make you feel insecure, make you feel not pretty enough, not skinny enough, not light-skinned enough, your hair not long enough. If you stick to those type of belief systems and mindsets and your values, and you never really get to know who you are on a core heart and soul level, like who you are and who you were before you became societally, culturally conditioned psychologically, if you don't at some point in your life have a chance to reverse engineer that means that you will potentially die without meeting your fullest potential and knowing who you are and creating at your maximum capability, because you'll have a lot of beliefs and thought process that'll keep you living in fear where you'll never go after your dreams. You'll never pursue what God put on your heart to do, because you'll be so worried about what people think about you all the time. You'll be so concerned about external validation and approval from people. And so when you're so deeply rooted in your personal identity being linked to that egoic identity that's been shaped by the worldview, perspective, and perceptions, and not really living in alignment with your true authentic self, yes, you won't ground into your reality, this 3D reality, things that you were destined to do, technically, things and discoveries and visions and things that you were supposed to ground. You won't get to do it because you'll be too psychologically oppressed. You won't know how to get from up under the yoke that's on your mind. And so, yeah, because living like that, I mean, when I reflect on my parents, the way they had to live, they met a lot of their goals, and I think they had a fulfilling life in a way. But I do believe with all my heart, both my parents and my brother had some gifts and some dreams that went in the grave with them. And the reason they weren't able to fulfill them is because they had a lot of those societal ideas in their mind, running in the background of their mind, that wouldn't let them stretch. It wouldn't let them fly. It wouldn't let them think outside the box and do things a slightly different way than older generations of the family and stuff like that. So they had to live in the box. And when you can't be your true authentic self fully, it breaks your heart. A, it breaks your heart, and B, when you are living a double, when you have two uh a light and a shadow part of your personality, when you got a war going on in your head, where one thing is the egoic personality, and then the second way, the one that you want to be, the way you want to live, and the goals you want to go after are aligned with your core heart and soul, who you are at the core. When you have a war raging inside of you like that, that's stressful. And essentially, when Dr. Myron Monroe was saying, if you don't fulfill your destiny, that means you were killed, even if medical diagnosis might say cancer or heart disease or a stroke or diabetes, what he's talking about is when you can't live in alignment, when you don't have your brain and when your mind, your logical mind and your heart and soul is not aligned, and you have a war raging inside you like that, it's a perpetual release of cortisol and all the other stress hormones and whatever else go on in the body. It's constantly being released because you're constantly under stress. You're constantly feeling like you're not good enough. You're constantly worried and fearful and angst. You're constantly living like that. So that means it's a perpetual release of all the stress hormones that over a long period of time create inflammation in the body that results in what the modern Western world say is some medical diagnosis that they'll claim is genetic and running your bloodline. But actually what runs in the bloodline is a toxic, oppressed way of thinking and believing in the value system. The belief system is distorted in the bloodline, not necessarily a condition, what is it called? Not necessarily a medical condition running in the bloodline. It's a belief system. It's a jacked up belief system that keeps a person stuck where they're constantly releasing stress hormones and all the things that goes on chemically in the body when you don't know who you are. And so it leads to inflammation in the body, and then you get sick and get medically diagnosed with something. And the next thing you know, you're dead. And so that's what he's talking about. You have to reshape your belief system and take time to be alone with your thoughts and uncover the truth of who you are. Who are you at the core without all the external influences, without the culture, without society, without all the world perspectives that's been embedded in your psyche? Who are you if you weren't so attached to your ego identity? Who is that person? You need to get to know that person, know thyself. And so that's my why. I just wanted to share that with y'all. That's my why, because I see where my parents and my brother were taken from me, but not necessarily even that, just they were taken without being able to fulfill all that I know they had in them. They had a lot of fire in them and they weren't able to live it out. And I don't want to have any regrets. I don't want to have any regrets. I see how that works. And I know the only thing that I can do, it's not about making somebody else outside of me be a certain way. No, it's about changing myself. Like that song, Michael Jackson song, Look at the Man in the Mirror. How am I skewed in my perspective, in my self-perception and my self-perspective? How am I distorted? Where what it's doing is keeping me constantly releasing stress hormones and cortisol and anything else that goes on in the body when your thinking is off, when your thinking is oppressed. That's what's going on. So yeah, the next thing you know, you will develop some chronic condition that you'll think is related to your family and your bloodline. No, it was triggered by the constant thoughts and beliefs and values that were out of alignment with the truth, with the real truth. And so I wanted to just share that because I know some people whoever may get a chance to see this might feel lost, frustrated, or might be dealing with a whole lot of angst, worry, stress, depression, self-hatred. All those type of conditions in my brain stem from being out of alignment with the truth, and that individual is too heavily identifying with their egoic personality as their core identity. They don't know who they truly are on a heart and soul level. And so that'll lead to you being ill, getting ill prematurely and having untimely deaths and all that before you can meet the highest version of yourself and ground the different things that God put in your heart or on your heart to do. And I don't want that to happen to me. I don't want that to happen to me. It's not going to happen to me. And so I know the only way it won't happen to me is if I continue to peel back the layers of my psyche and release all the old mindsets and beliefs that are from the past that were oppressive, that are not the truth, and move forward and have an identity shift my identity. Anybody can do it. And that's the goal. That's the plan. I just wanted to get on here and share because that's my why. I want to be a walking, living example and an embodiment of what it is to be your true, authentic self and living your truth and walk in love instead of fear, and be courageous and do things that typically you probably weren't known to do if you stuck to your old identity. No, I want to be all that I was created to be. And I think that's what most of us crave essentially, but sometimes you're yoked by ideas and perspectives and perceptions that's been indoctrinated into your psychology to where it's hard to break out of the mold. And so I just wanted to share this in case this helps somebody else. So that's my why. And if you ever have time, you should check out Dr. Myron Monroe. He's excellent too. His content is a little bit older, maybe 6 years, 5 years older, but it's really insightful, and it'll probably help awaken something in you too and shift your perspective on something. So, okay, good night. Hopefully this was helpful. Even if it's just to one person, I just wanted to share and try to just help somebody else get the clarity they need. So, okay, good night. Love you. Bye.